hunting,
fishing,
cooking,
camping,
conservation,
travel,
gardening,
photography, family.
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 This is the Outdoor Ruhls podcast. Hi, everybody. It's Mike here. Welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Ruhls podcast. Joined by the brothers today. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
What's up, everybody out there in podcast land?
Hello. Good job, man. I thought somebody else might be on here for a minute there.
It's the most amount of words he's strung together in one sentence in this entire thing.
At the most full volume and with the most emotion. It's a whole new thing for the Outdoor Ruhls podcast. All right. Well, I'm glad there's lots of energy here. I thought we'd just kind of check back in. I don't know, 3 months ago or something. We kind of did a little bit of a spring preview episode, and been a lot going on, kind of a lot to catch up on. Matt's been bass fishing a bunch, and turkey season wrapped up. We had the big game draw here in New Mexico, and I think a few things are right around the corner and some exciting guests coming up on the podcast. So we just thought we'd kind of catch up on what was going on. Matt or Mark, either of you guys got somewhere you want to start?
Well, I think we could start with how your turkey season ended up, Mike. I know here in Pennsylvania, I got CJ out once. We didn't hear a bird, and I went out for one weekend and heard some birds, but couldn't get them to react. That was pretty much it on this end.
Yeah, I don't hunt those stupid thunder chickens.
You really don't like turkey hunting.
Not one bit.
And I noticed that you've got your son oscillating between your attitude about it and my attitude about it.
Yes. He seems to be. It depends on when you talk to him and how the turkey hunting is going.
Well, I think that's a pretty reasonable approach to the emotional side of turkey hunting. Believe me, there are days I spend in the woods like, man, I hate turkey hunting. This is so stupid. But it always kind of ends up drawing me back in somehow. But that Pennsylvania turkey hunting, especially Pennsylvania public land turkey hunting, that is a whole different thing, a whole different level of difficult compared to what we have out here in New Mexico, and really a lot of other places. So, Mark, you didn't hear anything at all when you took CJ out?
We did not hear a bird. We covered about 4 miles walking that day, and not a bird.
How was she about that? Great.
I mean, she was bummed we didn't hear anything, but I mean, when there was a field pretty far into the public land I wanted to get to. We got there, we sat for a while because it was pretty rainy, so it was hoping, the birds would be in the fields looking for bugs and stuff. And we sat there, and I said, well, here's the deal. We can walk back to the truck. It's about 1.5 miles back or something like that, or we can head out and have Rachel pick us up. And that was another, 2.5 miles, and she said, let's just keep going. So she was good.
Nice. That's good.
I was proud of her.
Yeah. We had a really good season here. It was the only disappointment with this season was that I didn't hunt as much as I usually do. But we took Caitlin's folks very kindly offered to watch the boys the night before the first day, before opening day of turkey season, which in New Mexico is April 15th. And so Caitlin and I got, what's kind of become a rare opportunity to get out in the woods together, just the two of us, and went to our typical spot. We hadn't done any scouting at all, but there was very little snow this year, which some years there's enough snow where we hunt in the mountains.
we can't get to all of our spots, but pretty much everything was available to us this year in terms of access. And we got up there, I don't know, we went in to try to roost them night before the season. We probably were in the woods 45 minutes, and we heard a little bit of calling that we thought was hens, and a couple birds went by us pretty far out. I mean, we weren't calling or doing anything because it wasn't season yet, and ended up going to roost, and then there was gobbling in that area. We thought it might have been Jake's, but we weren't sure. And then there were a few other birds gobbling as well on the roost, and so struck out the first morning and got close to those birds that were on the roost, and they flew down, and it ended up, I'm not sure if there was a tom there that left and then these Jakes, but there were 5 Jakes together, and we called them in, and we probably had them for 10 or 15 minutes, just kind of like making a circle around us, doing things that Jakes do, not being particularly wary about anything. And if you're listening to this and you're not familiar, a Jake is an immature male turkey. In the spring, you can only shoot the males, or the tom that we call mature birds toms, and the immature males are Jakes. And we could have harvested one of these birds, but we didn't. And then they finally left, and we started heading off towards an area where we had heard some gobbling while we were messing with them. And then we ended up calling them back in again. So we had the same 5 Jakes come in and make another circle around us. It was really cool just to, have that amount of time where you get to mess with turkeys and have them close to you, and I don't know, just see them and interact with them. Really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
Yeah, it sounds like it would have been a lot of fun to be in them like that.
Sure.
Even you might have been excited about it, Matt.
I would have just shot one and got it over with.
Yeah, well, that would have been okay too.
I'm actually a little surprised that you didn't, Michael.
Yeah, well, I know. I have such a reputation for being trigger happy.
Because we've seen the bucks you shoot.
Yeah, because you lived in Montana 10 years and shot one mule deer.
No, I didn't even shoot that one while I lived there. That was after I left that you and I got that one.
That's right.
Yeah, I lived in New Mexico at the time. What the only bummer about that was, it would have been really fun to have Robert with us for that. It would have been a good experience for a kid to be close to turkeys like that.
What are the laws out there in New Mexico? Like, will he be able to hunt next year with you? Is there?
He can do. I think it's a mentored youth thing. He can do a mentored youth for turkey and get a license. We're really thinking about that. I mean, he's 6 now, but he's a pretty mature 6, so he'll be 7 next year. He's excited and he wants to try it. And, we're definitely spending a lot more time now shooting the Red Ryder BB gun. So I don't know. Next year might be a year where we try it with him.
That'll be fun.
I'm still not sure, if he can sit still long enough to get one to come in, but who knows? Or we could try to set up a blind somewhere. We've done that before too.
Yeah, those. I have one of those 3-panel blinds, and it's kind of perfect for that.
Yeah. So it's on stakes. It's just 3-sided.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be the thing to have for sure.
It's just more gear to carry. That's the only downside.
Yeah, there's always plenty of stuff to carry around turkey hunting. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, then we took off after we had those Jakes close to us the second time, and there was still some occasional gobbling from some other birds, and we kind of crested a little bit of a ridge, and coming up the other side towards us were about a half a dozen hens and 2 toms, all strutted out, but they were out of shotgun range and we couldn't get closer, and they didn't, with those toms being with the hens, they didn't respond to the calling at all. So we ended up trying to circle around and get in front of them. And then in the process of that, somehow I think we sort of cut off another bird, and man, lo and behold, that one just kind of worked exactly like they're supposed to. Like he gobbled, we sat down, we could see probably 75 yards. Within 3 or 4 minutes, he was down below us. I saw him coming. I told Caitlin to get ready, and he popped up, and he popped up at like 25 yards in this oak brush that we were in. And I could see him really well. And she's like, Mike, if you have him, if you can get a shot at him, go ahead and shoot him. And I'm like, I said, no, I want you to shoot him. And he doesn't know we're here. Just give it a second. And almost just like he couldn't have worked it out any better. He kind of turned and took a couple steps, and then he was out in the open for her, and she rolled him. So that was awesome. That was like 10:30 in the morning. We had spent almost the whole morning basically hearing turkeys gobbling somewhere. And so it was just kind of the perfect day of turkey hunting. One of the best days of turkey hunting maybe that I've ever had, just in terms of lots of action, and we were successful, without too much trouble. So,
what did you guys end up? Did you make anything out of your turkey yet, or did you freeze it?
Yeah, I did. I have the legs and thighs frozen. I have a recipe that I like to make with those. I call them enchiladas because I do the same thing with pheasants. But I basically take the legs and thighs and I braise them in like lime juice and beer and cumin and oregano. And then once I get them to where the meat easily pulls off the bone, I shred it up, and then I roll it up into enchiladas and make green chili enchiladas. But nice. It's a really good recipe. The other thing that I like to do with them is I make a green chili corn chowder with it. So kind of like a thick, creamy soup with, I pound the breast meat thin and then fry it, chunk it up, and then I throw all that in a cream-based soup.
Very nice.
Yeah, those are good. Those are good things to do. We do classic stuff too, like pounding it out thin and just breading it and frying it for the kids. They like that. Kind of turns out like chicken fingers. Breast meat's pretty versatile, I think. I don't know. Have you ever killed one, Mark?
No, I've only ever shot at one. And it was kind of a Hail Mary shot as the bird was running away.
I really like eating them. I think they're really good to eat.
Have you noticed a difference in the flavor of turkeys from like where you're at to Pennsylvania to Kentucky?
I've never had them in like really close proximity, in time, I mean, where it's like, oh, here's a bird from Pennsylvania and here's a bird from New Mexico. But no, I have noticed no difference whatsoever. I think they all kind of taste the same. It was funny when Hunter, Hunter got that one here, which we did, the whole episode about Hunter and his turkey season. The first thing he said, he went over and he picked the bird up and he brought it back to me, and he's like, "Why do all birds smell the same?" He's like, they just all smell like poultry. Mm-hmm. They really do. So I don't know. I think turkeys taste the same from everywhere, but maybe if I had a side-by-side comparison, I could tell the difference. I don't know.
Just like when Pop Grant gave us the Coke Pepsi test.
Yeah, exactly. What did he do that? Did he mix them up that time?
He mixed Coke and Pepsi together and put it in both cups.
Right.
That's what he did.
That sounds like something he would do.
Yeah. And then told us when we guessed that we were wrong every time, no matter what we guessed.
And he was right.
Because he was right, because we didn't guess they were mixed together.
Right. No, but then Poppy came out and we got one day to hunt together, and boy, we almost got it done. It was a very different kind of day from what Caitlin and I had. We didn't hear anything right off the bat, and it got windy on us, and we ended up striking a bird that I thought was farther away than it was, and we were trying to reposition a little bit, and bird gobbled a second time, and when he gobbled that time, it was like, oh shoot, pick a tree, sit down, like right now, the turkey's coming, and I thought he was going to come down an old logging road, and that's the way I had Poppy set up for it, and gosh darn it if that bird didn't come kind of more straight to us through the brush. And when he poked his head up, and there was a second there where I thought maybe we were going to get a shot, and then he ducked out of there, and we didn't get a crack at him. That was kind of a hard pill to swallow. I really, really wanted to get that, a Miriam's turkey. So that's another thing about turkeys. If you're not familiar with turkeys, there are, do you remember, Mark? It's 4 subspecies of turkeys in the United States.
It sounds great.
Yeah, there's Easterns back in Pennsylvania. There are Rio Grande turkeys, which are like mostly in Texas and Oklahoma. There are some Rio Grandes here in New Mexico. And then there's Miriam's turkey, which is a turkey that's found mostly throughout the Intermountain West, like in Montana where we hunted. That's mostly Miriam's turkeys, and in the mountains here in New Mexico. And then there's Osceola's turkeys down in South Florida. But anyway, the Miriam's turkeys, I kind of think they're the prettiest of them, actually, because they have a lot of white in their tail fans and stuff. And so was really hoping to get one for Poppy, but Poppy's Miriam remains elusive. But that was the first 2 hunts that I did this year. One of them was successful, and the other one, we had a real legitimate opportunity to harvest the turkey. We just didn't connect with on that. And then I spent a day or two that was kind of slow, and then Hunter showed up, and in the first 2 days Hunter was here, he missed one, and he got that one. And then I think we hunted the day after he got his and didn't get one, although we came pretty close, actually. We had some birds going that day too. So I think I got in the woods like 6 times, and we had 4 opportunities to harvest turkeys. So I would say that that's one of the best seasons that I've ever had, at least for the time that I spent. The quality of the hunting was really, really good.
Yeah, you really can't complain about that.
I agree.
No. I agree with that, Matt.
Yes, that is factual.
You could definitely complain about it. I think we could go out and get a turkey with you within the first 20 minutes of it, and you probably would still find some reason to complain about turkey hunting.
Well, I mean, I have done it in the past. I just don't. I've only ever a few times had birds going with Dad, and he would get so excited, and it just didn't do anything for me. Like, most of the time spent like, why is he so wound up about this? Like, who cares?
Just not your thing, I guess.
I guess. I don't think it's one of those things I'll say I'll never do again, but I just have like no motivation to go turkey hunting.
You'd rather bass fish that time of year.
Yeah.
Speaking of, that's a good segue, Mark. Nice work. What was the spring bass season like this year, Matt?
Well, I didn't get out at home as much as I really would have liked, which actually seems to be more and more common. That's partially because it's a busy time for work, but it's also a busy time for spring soccer for Callies. So unless I schedule myself to go away, I rarely even fish. But I did get out twice, I think, at Speedwell, and we did catch a few bass, but I ended up mostly crappie fishing there instead, which the crappie fishing there is spectacular for numbers and terrible for size. But then we took I took 2 trips this spring, one to Gaston, North Carolina, which I think I probably mentioned before, with Bob Bridges, and I think we're probably going to do an episode with Bob where we get into some, maybe a little more specific detail about both of these trips. And then the second trip the first trip was middle of April. The second trip upstate to northern Pennsylvania, where we fished 3 separate lakes, was the middle of May. And both trips had weather problems. So the fishing was okay, but not as good as it's been in the past. The trip to Gaston was cold. Typically we're 78-degree days down there that time of year, I would say, and really we were fishing 50s and 60s, and the water temps weren't probably 10 degrees cooler than normal. So the fish were set up different, and we did find fish, but it was definitely a little tougher. And then the trip up to the lakes upstate, they had a high water event the week before we got there, and actually all 3 lakes were closed for a period of time. We weren't even sure we were going to be able to go, which high water isn't the issue, but it turns the lakes muddy. And one of the lakes was completely unfishable. It was so bad. And then one of them was pretty good. And then the lake we really liked to fish the most was sort of in between. You had maybe a foot or 2 of visibility, so it was fishable, but it still made it more difficult.
What do you do when it's muddy?
Well, we just throw different patterns. So if it's real, the muddier it is, the less. I would say that I'm more of a finesse. Well, I would say that I'm slowly changing from that, but I always was more, and I think you probably were too. More went back when you were here. We fished a lot of finesse techniques, a lot of soft plastics, and when the water's muddy, you end up throwing a lot more moving baits, whether that's square bills, spinner baits, chatter baits, something where you're trying to essentially cover as much water as possible and hope you reel one close enough to a bass that you get a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say that Kawaneski was just clear enough that you could kind of fish some plastics, and I did catch a big bass on this year for the first time in a long time. I decided I was going to go back to my roots, so to speak, and I fished tubes a fair amount on that trip, which is a lure that we used when you were in college there a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Like almost exclusively.
Right.
And it's one of those things where we go through these cycles, at least I do, with lures, where it's, I'll have a 2-3 year period where I fish something, a lot. And then for some reason, it changes to a different presentation, a different lure. And then I fish that for a period of time. And I had essentially gotten away from tubes completely to the point where I wasn't even taking them with me anymore most of the time in the boat. And this year in the spring, I decided, before the seasons really got rolling, I decided I was going to get back to tube fishing some. And I did catch some fish on it in Gaston also. And I actually caught the biggest fish of the trip this year on a tube up there.
Do you think that the fishing actually changes, like the preferences of the fish change and you're chasing that? Or do you think the fisherman changes?
No, I think it's probably a combination of both. I mean, I often wonder if the fish, if everybody's fishing the same lure all the time, eventually those fish have to at least get a little smarter, a little more weary of it. And, I think that the industry does a good job of selling fishermen on lures for sure. I mean, right. I think Pop Grant always had a saying. You know what it was?
Yeah, he said, For a fishing lure to be successful, it doesn't have to catch fish. It only has to catch fishermen.
That's exactly right. And I think that the industry has gotten really good at catching fishermen.
I think you're probably right.
But, like, do you remember as kids there was one summer where, like, they came out with, like, a Rapala, like a 3-inch swim bait, billless, lipless swim bait, and it was in clown color. It was yellow, red, and silver.
Yep, that's a smallmouth pattern.
And we just caught the tar out of the fish in that thing. And then the next year we went back and, like, you'd pick up fish, but it wasn't like, it always seemed like at the river, like we'd have there'd be one really hot bait every year.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there's so many variables between water temperature, cloud cover, water color, moon phases, which some people argue that one way or the other, whether that affects them, but I think it definitely does. You know, where they are in the spawning cycle and all that depends. There's a lot of variables to that, which all the things I just mentioned. And so you're constantly trying to figure out where the fish are staged. You know, we're typically pre-spawn, but, you know, the older I get, the more I realize, I think in my head, when I was younger, I thought, well, all the bass spawn at the same time. And that's not true. They definitely spawn in different times. And I think that the consensus nowadays seems to be that the bigger females spawn earlier. And so the biggest fish that I caught this past trip, which was a 5-pound, 11-ounce largemouth, was a spawned out female. She didn't have eggs anymore. But then we were catching 3-4 pounders that still had eggs. You know, some of them, and we were catching 3-4 pounders that didn't have eggs. So those fish, some of them had spawned and some of them hadn't. And you know, I don't know if the high water, if they had started and then the high water messed the spawn cycle up and then some of them backed off before they actually dropped. And I assume dirty water really messes them up for hatching too.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. Never thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're always fanning their beds to try to keep the eggs clean. So I imagine the dirtier the water is, the harder that is for the bass.
Yeah, I wonder, are they keeping them clean or are they moving oxygen over?
Well, I think it's probably both.
Probably both. Yeah, I don't know.
So, I mean,
you should get a fish biologist on this podcast.
Yeah, well, the one we know is trout specific.
Every fish question I ever have for me doesn't know, so
it's funny. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I think Bob and I'll probably try to do an episode, you know, where we maybe get into a little more detail.
Yeah.
What was the biggest bass of the trip?
5.11.
Yours?
Yeah, Bob had another one over. I don't remember if it was 5.1, 5.2. But I wasn't in the boat with him then because we had Dad and Gary along. So we switched who was fishing with who on pretty much a daily basis.
What's the biggest bass you've ever had on that spring trip?
6, 9, 6. Well, the biggest bass I've ever caught, Dad caught one the other year that was 6.14, I think. While he was in the boat with me.
That's a big one.
Yeah. That was the biggest fish of the trip, and it was caught about 5 minutes into the trip.
Man.
Yeah, for Pennsylvania, for northern Pennsylvania, those are big fish.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, you know, down south where the water doesn't freeze and the fish have a much longer, you know, feeding cycle, a much longer growing season. You know, it's that lakes. Those lakes have been good to us over the years.
What are the other springtime activities, things that we've been up to since we kind of recorded that last episode? Mark, anything else come to mind for you?
I was out a couple times with my buddy Jesse on the river. We live close to the Susquehanna River here, so it was a pretty good smallmouth season. We had a couple good days and a couple tough days, but all in all, it was a good year. And then we went down to the Indian River for a weekend and fished.
Oh yeah.
Caught one nice striper. The very first night, I caught a nice striper that I think would have been a slot fish, but I didn't have a tape measure with me. So, and then missed a bunch of fish more and caught one nice bluefish in the last morning. And, I ripped something big off in the inlet that I thought was I ripped it off kind of on purpose. I thought it was going to be a ray, but the more I think about it, I think it was probably a big striper.
Like a really big one.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Mostly because the water temperature, the rays weren't in yet.
Oh, yeah.
So it could have been a ray, but I don't think it was.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of fishing. When you don't get to see the fish, now you can make up any story you want.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was at least 50 pounds.
Right. Where did you stay when you were down there?
We stayed in a Airbnb in Lewis.
You did?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I thought you caught that fish from the beach at Broadkill.
No. I was at the inlet.
And we've got family down in Broadkill now, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Rachel and CJ are down there now. They just left today. So.
And did Kate and Jed?
Kate and Jed.
They left today too, right? Mom and Dad are going down tomorrow or Monday or something.
Monday with Kaylee.
Nice.
Yeah, they're waiting. Kaylee has a soccer game tomorrow that she's playing in.
Yeah.
Or she would have left today too.
Yeah. And then we're leaving Friday again to go to the cabin, go to Potter for a week. So we're looking forward to some trout fishing.
Oh, who all's going to deer camp this year?
Well, me and Kaylee and Mark, Rachel, CJ at the beginning. And then towards the end of the week, Bob Bridges, his wife, and 2 kids are coming up. I think Davey's also coming up for the second weekend that we're there.
Oh, that'll be a fun trip.
Yes.
You know what CJ's really excited about, Mike?
No.
Rachel and I are coming home Thursday. And because Bob has kids that are CJ's age, Uncle Matt invited her to stay with him.
Oh, yeah?
So he's going to be the
I don't know who this is.
The fox is in the hen house on that one, I think.
Is he just learning about this as we're recording the
No,
podcast?
this was his idea.
No, it's my idea.
Oh, no.
I'm good with it.
Yeah,
I mean, she might come home and learned a few new words, but other than that, it'll be fine.
She has
phrases.
been told multiple times there are words Uncle Matt uses at deer camp that we don't use at home.
Or anywhere else, ever.
Right. Especially around grandparents.
Some of my proudest moments with her are the things that I've said, and she's repeated to her grandparents.
Some of which we can't repeat on the podcast. Oh, boy. Yeah, I don't know. We've got the Norway trip coming up. We're now like 6 weeks from that. Might be 6 weeks, might be 5 weeks today, actually, that we take off on the Norway adventures. So that's right around the corner for us here.
That same time we're headed to Cape Charles. Looking forward to that. Matt and Kaylee and Meemaw and CJ and Rachel and I.
Do you think you're going to catch a 10-pound sheep's head, Mark?
I hope.
As long as we don't got to get towed back in.
Oh, man.
The boat is fixed.
That's what he said the last time.
That's
man.
how, yeah, you always think boats are fixed right up until they're no longer fixed.
They're not.
Yeah.
I had, my boat gone all the way through, serviced, everything done with it. And it's running great. But now when I run that 90 horsepower motor, I get a solid alarm on it. And I don't know what it is. I kind of ran it a bunch because I can't figure out anything that's wrong with it. It's not getting hot. It's got oil, telltales,
I wonder
shooting
if
water.
that solid alarm, because we have the exact same outboard. On mine, that's just when it's not getting oil.
This is on my Honda on the big
Oh.
boat. Yeah. So I don't know. It's always something with these boats. That should be. We really ought to do a boat episode sometime.
Yeah, we ought to have Dave Arnold on for that.
Yes, you're not wrong about that. Dave's son Matt reached out about the podcast and suggested we do an episode with him. He's a tuna boat captain out of San Diego. That would be a fun
that
episode.
does require us to go fishing with him, correct?
That's what I said.
I mean, I feel like we would obviously have to fly to San Diego and go fishing with him to, really do a good job of making the podcast.
Are these part of the write-offs we were promised at the beginning of this, Matt?
Yeah, oh yeah. That'll be a write-off for the Outdoor Ruhls podcast. Outdoor Ruhls Incorporated. How much money do you have to lose before you can't be a business anymore, Matt?
I don't know.
I feel like we've eclipsed it.
Yeah, well, or maybe more importantly, how much money do you have to make before you're considered a business? Because we're sitting at a pretty solid 0.
I said we only have to sell like 12,000 T-shirts.
Oh yeah, I did figure that out at one point. How many T-shirts we'd have to sell? It's a lot. 12,000 sounds right. Yeah, I think as far how many T-shirts have we sold so far, Matt?
0.
Yeah,
I've given some away.
right.
I think that puts us more in the negative based on my math.
Oh, it definitely does. Yeah, we probably, if you count the ones we've given away, we probably have to sell like 12,010.
That's right.
How many of our fancy bait pucks do we need to sell?
Yeah, it's a lot more.
Roughly 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had somebody ask me this week if they could purchase T-shirts on the website. So maybe that's something we need to actually try to do.
Well, that would be something to look at. No, I was saying the other exciting thing that happens in the spring every year that I don't think we've ever really talked about is all of the big game hunting here in New Mexico is by draw, which means that you essentially apply in a lottery to try to get tags. And we may have talked about that a little bit way back last fall when we did the episode about Caitlin's elk hunt, because in 2024, Caitlin drew an absolutely amazing elk tag. Like, that the chance of drawing is like 2 or 3% for this elk tag. So it's kind of like, by the statistics, it's like a once in a lifetime sort of thing. But if there's one thing that's important to know about Caitlin, it's that she's lucky. And dang it, if she didn't draw the same elk hunt again this year. So something that by the stats you should only be able to get once in your life, she's gotten it twice in 2 years.
I wish she would use some of that luck and win the lottery.
Yeah, that would help.
Because then it wouldn't matter. You could just buy a good elk.
That would be a better plan.
What wasn't there some stipulation if she drew that there was a new bow was going to be required?
Well, yeah. So the story with that is when Caitlin and I started dating, she started getting interested in hunting. And after like a year of that or whatever, she seemed a little bit interested in archery hunting. She went on a hunt with me where we saw a really big bull elk, and I think we got a whitetail doe, an archery hunt. And so for Christmas, this would have been like in 2011 or something, probably 2010, 2011. I bought her a cheap archery setup, like from Cabela's, a diamond infinite edge or a diamond edge bow. And this is the kind of thing where like the whole bow and sights and everything comes as a package for like $300, right? Which is very cheap. Even back then, that was very, very little money for a bow.
Yeah.
And I've never been able to pry that thing out of her hands. As she started archery hunting and even enjoying some success, I'm like, all right, Caitlin, it's time to, like, you know, get a new bow. You'll get a lot more performance out of a new bow that's sort of more specifically set up just for you. That bow she had was really, really adjustable, both in terms of the draw weight and the draw length, which was nice for her when she was learning, because you could, you know, turn the draw weight up as she went. And she's never wanted to give it up. She liked that little bow, and she killed 3 elk with it. But last year we kind of made a deal that was, if she ever draws a really great archery tag again, she has to get a new bow. And so I don't know why it makes me so happy, because I'm not the one that got the new bow. She is the one that got the new bow. But just last weekend we went and picked up her new Hoyt, and she's been shooting it and really loving it. So we're gonna be back in the mountains, back on the Valles Caldera come September. Her hunt is the first archery hunt, same exact hunt she had last year. So the 1st to the 14th of September, we'll be chasing elk around in one of the best places to elk hunt, maybe in the world.
Can't beat that.
No. The rest of the draw wasn't too exciting for us. We both got a deer tag for whitetail deer, which are actually eastern whitetails, not Cow's deer, Coues deer whitetails. That's out on the Texas border in December, so we'll be doing that. But that's kind of, we didn't draw a bunch of stuff this year, but what we got is really worth being happy over.
Have you applied for anywhere else?
No, I actually haven't. Sometimes I apply in Montana. I didn't do that this year. I'll probably just buy points again. And same in Wyoming. I have elk and antelope points in Wyoming. Matt, do you know, did Hunter apply for antelope?
I don't think so.
I thought he was going to, but, you know.
Well, you can't, I mean, there's no talking any sense into Hunter, so I don't waste my breath.
Sorry, Hunter.
He's wildly independent, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, wildly independent, I think, is definitely a good way to put it. What else? So summer going to be a big trip, or a big summer for trips. Folks are in Lewes now, and you guys are going to Cape Charles, and we're going to Norway, and you guys got a deer camp trip coming up, so should generate plenty of podcast content.
Yeah, we're looking forward to summer of fishing, sunshine. Hopefully, no boat breakdowns. We have to do the sheep's head episode at some point. That's my favorite fish to catch, and that's what resulted in a boat towing last year, was a sheep's head trip.
Yeah, you love those convict fish.
I really do. They eat so well. They fight hard.
I learned a couple new ways to catch them.
Yeah,
we don't even know how to mess with those crabs. Pinto beans.
No.
Pinto beans?
Something, or corn. I forget. Or both.
Probably all of the above.
Do you know what I saw a video of them catching them on this last week, Mark?
What's that?
Red worms.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yep. There's a company that like the company that sells bait at Walmart. Like, it was one of their videos, and it was a guy catching sheep's head on red worms.
Yeah.
So
we also have to take an ice scraper this year.
Yeah, I forgot an ice scraper last year.
You know, for a fish that seems like it'll eat anything, they sure are hard to catch sometimes.
Well, yeah. I think finding them is, I think where one of the things we've learned over the couple of years is once you find them, then you can start doing other things to try to get them frenzied up. But
yeah. They chum. They throw corn and beans and all kinds of stuff.
I sure do want to catch a citation a 10-pounder.
You just need to
Yeah.
put live scope on your boat so we can see them.
You could put live scope on my boat. I'd be okay with that.
If only we knew somebody with live scope, Mark.
I know.
It's not that easy to move around.
What my
And
boat, what
I'll
my
tell
boat needs more is
I will tell you what I've learned mostly from
Spot
live
lock.
scope. It shows you the fish that you can't catch.
I believe that.
It's so infuriating when you can see a fish down there and you even know that it's a bass and you can't catch it.
Yeah.
I'd almost rather not know.
But you really wouldn't. You want to know that they're down there.
Yes.
It would be pretty cool to have that around the bridge pilings.
Oh,
Yeah.
it would be amazing there.
Yeah.
I actually think it would be more useful there than a lot of the stuff I do bass fishing. Because
Right.
a lot of the stuff we bass fish is weeds. And in all reality, that live scope doesn't see through that cover all that well.
Right.
You know, down there, you wouldn't have any of that. You would see all the structure. You'd see the rocks on the bottom. And you'd be able to tell. It would really be amazing.
Yeah. Need live scope on your boat, Mark.
Yeah.
I think I need spot lock first.
And
would make
I was
fishing
going to
around
say,
a bridge a whole lot easier.
a trolling motor.
Yes.
Oh, now we're only up to spending 10 to 12 grand.
Right.
Yeah. Well.
Write-offs.
Oh boy.
So do I just send those receipts right to Mike and he pays them, or
Yeah,
how's that?
I think
okay.
that's how it works.
All right,
No,
well,
no,
I
he's
mean-
going to give us his credit card.
Oh, okay.
Oh, see, I told you guys a long time ago, you can send all the invoices this way you want to. I mean, just send them.
Well, you just send us a picture of the front and the back of your card. and we'll be
Yeah.
good.
Things
Then we
I will,
won't need to send receipts. You'll get them on an e-transaction.
Yeah.
things I will never do. Give you two a credit card in my name.
Well, you can
Oh,
take
boy.
one out in the name of the podcast. We don't care what it says.
Yeah.
That's true. All right. Anything else for spring activities that we've already done or summer stuff that's coming up?
Not that I can think of.
Nope. Just try to get out and fish as much as possible.
That's always the plan, right? I did want to tease a couple of upcoming episodes. I hopefully here in a day or two I'm gonna record with that conservation writer friend of mine, Ben Goldfarb. He's got two successful books out there, one about beavers and one about road ecology. I talked a little bit about him, I think, on the last episode, but I just learned I think he's got a feature article coming out in National Geographic about beavers this month. So very kind of him to agree to be a podcast guest. We're going to talk all about conservation writing and conservation writers and our time in Yellowstone. And so I'm really looking forward to doing that. And then, Mark, I've been trying to, we got to try to get all the right people in the room to do our Hell on Wheels episode.
You
Robert
fall off
and-
of one bicycle.
You've certainly fallen off of more than one bicycle, Matt.
Well, does it count if it's the same bicycle multiple times?
No, I don't. Yes, I think that counts. Several stories. But no, I like Kate's got a bike story about Pop Grant. There's a bike story about Rachel. Matt, your stories. I know I've got a pretty good one. And then, Mark, I feel like we were talking the other day and you were like, well, I don't need to be there. I don't have a bike story. Is that right?
You do.
I do.
Oh,
He does.
I was thinking about this. My favorite bike story of all time is about you.
You got me.
The time you ran Paul Metley over on purpose with your bike. It may be true to say that I have never been more proud of you than I was in that moment. So I can't wait. I can't wait to do the Hell on Wheels bicycle episode. We just got to get everybody in the same place so we can record it. Robert will probably want to be on it. He took a pretty good spill off of his bike yesterday, and and scraped himself up. His first really good, like, where he's got like a big, long, kind of deep scrape on his forearm and his one knee's all skinned off. So,
yeah, road rash is no joke.
Oh, man, it really isn't. But no, then, I mean, I think, we'll talk to Ben. I've got a few other people that have agreed to be on. We just need to get scheduled, some meat eater connections that I have. Not Steve Ranella, but others. And then, I mean, we'll be into Norway and hopefully get the Bassin with Bob episode done and a couple others. So really, really excited about all the stuff coming up here. So
are you taking stuff to record from Norway? Is that in your plans?
I'm taking so much stuff. It's I don't know how I'm going to haul all this stuff around, but
we rules are classic overpackers. So
to begin with,
yeah, right. So that comes as no surprise.
I would overpack if I weren't trying to take a soundboard and 4 headsets and all this other stuff. So, yep, we're all in. We'll be recording in Iceland and Norway in a month and a half here. So it'll be fun. Yeah, as always, thanks everybody for listening. You can find all of our stuff on our website, www.outdoorruhls.com. We're on Instagram at Outdoor Ruhls, and then, of course, podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We would really love it if you reached out to us through any of those means, or you can always send us an email, which is outdoorruhls@gmail.com. All right, thanks again, guys. Love you.
Love you too.
See ya.
Hunting and fishing, the great outdoors, mixing history, laughter, love, and folklore, creating memories with family and friends. These are the trophies that matter in the end. Outdoor Ruhls.